You absolved me.
Oh, that's right. Is this my chair?
Jeffy, how you doing?
Go ahead and sit down,
Friday.
George.
Yeah,
I know you can't see.
got in ahead of the snow.
You know what I would need these for, is to, those bifocals to read.
Yeah, that helped.
He looks like Barry from Storage Wars.
It's, I had eye surgery, and my former eye doctor was very negligent.
Oh, oh,
Want to make sure you're on the mic.
Uh-oh.
so that's why you have them on. Here we go. Here it is. Hi, buddy. How are you?
Nice.
How are you, Scott? Oh, we're almost there. Scott's gonna make the anthem.
Decided to join us.
Let's see, Jack, oh, Jack is missing.
As requested.
I know.
Maybe he's tuned in.
Who else?
Having by all the people from the public that are here. Probably could
I think we're here.
probably could have.
Let's call this meeting to the Warsaw Redevelopment Commission to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, pardon the funny eye word, but I had cataract surgery. And we will
No,
note
no
that-
photos,
What's that?
no photos.
Yes, no photos. Or at least let me do that. I may not even notice. Brad and Jack are absent. The rest of us are here. And first thing up on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Assume you've had a chance to look those over. If so, any comments or?
Make a motion to approve.
Bill has made a motion to approve the minutes. Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I can second that.
And Mike has seconded them. All in favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting, say aye. Aye. Okay. Let's see, new business right off the get-go, Jeremy. Engagement letter.
Yeah, we've got a couple of engagement letters. The first one is with Barnes and Thornburg for the Public Works Building Project. So this is just to oversee the legal work for the issuance of the Public Works bond that we'll be discussing later in the meeting.
Okay. I see Randy out there. If you have any questions about the engagement letter.
So yeah, it's basically a contract for the
Yeah,
legal
just-
side of it, yeah. Is there any questions on that?
Scott, do you have any comments about it? I do not.
Make a motion to approve the agreement as presented,
Okay, Joe has made a
or the
motion.
letter of engagement, excuse me.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion to approve.
Second.
Second, by Bill, okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the engagement letter?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Second item is an engagement letter with Baker Tilly for the same public works project.
Anything else you want to say, Jeremy, or what it covers, or?
It just covers this public works building project, so it'll be the financial and bond issuance oversight, selling bonds, closing on bonds, all that.
Okay, I just think it's good to get it out there for the
Good.
public. I'll make a motion that we accept this letter of engagement.
A motion by Mike. Accept it.
I'll second.
Joe, second it. Thank you. All in favor of accepting the engagement letter, say aye.
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 Thank you. Any against? All right, thank you. And next up,
So the third one is an engagement letter with Baker Tilly for the Bella Augusta IFA RIF financing. So the residential infrastructure loan that we requested from the state, that I got your approval from late last year. We were awarded a little over $1 million as part of that infrastructure loan program, and that will proceed forward with a bond issue to be covered by the Northern Residential TIF. And so this engagement letter is for those financial services of that bond issue.
Was that through the IFA? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are any of those monies potentially jeopardized with some of the things that are going on as far as grants on the federal level?
No, not on the federal level. Maybe at the state level, some of the tax stuff that they're kicking around down there, but
Okay.
not at the federal level.
All right.
And I wouldn't say it's jeopardized because financially speaking, we're pretty sound in that. We've got a little less than $1 million in cash in that. And we've got a bond that we're about to issue, and our coverage is pretty good. I think we're gonna end up with at least 2 times coverage on that. So I think we'll be pretty comfortable in terms of covering that. Doesn't mean that it's not gonna be potentially impacted by the stuff that's proposed down at the state, but I don't feel like we're in jeopardy of not being able to make those bond payments.
So I know you referenced it a bit, but could you just give the quick capital stack on this project?
Yeah, so for the residential project, it'll primarily be, the developer will have money in, he's loaning money from the bank, so I think there's $1 million of infrastructure costs, $1.6 million in a loan, and then I want to say they have like 600 or 800 some thousand in cash that they're putting in to build the infrastructure. Now, roughly 90 lots at anywhere from, I'm guessing, closer to the 300 per unit range, so 250 to 280 in that range. Ideally, it'll generate somewhere north of $2+ million over a 15-year period in revenue.
Residential TIF.
In the residential
Yeah.
TIF, yeah.
Okay.
It has to be a conservative. I mean, until every
Sure.
house is going to have, but I mean, if you're averaging 2,000 in taxes per a house, you're going to be at over 2 million in revenue over a 15-year period.
And that's the current valuation.
That's current valuations, yeah. So certainly the build-out will cover the bond issue over its life.
I know we're not discussing the details just yet, but I think that's why we have Baker Tilly on board, or why you're asking to engage them, so I would
Yeah.
certainly make a motion.
Yeah, I don't know the rate yet. They have a rate, but could change, and we'll get to that point. This is just the engagement letter for them to start that process.
Okay,
You made a motion, Joe?
yes,
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, the public hearing, right?
So the next is a public hearing for the approving of the proposed leasing related to the Public Works building. What I'd like to do is have Randy come up and talk about the resolution, then I'll have Andrew come up and talk about the financial side that he just handed out, and then we can open it up to the public for any comment.
What I might say, Jeremy, is the public hearing actually isn't for this resolution. So the requirements are that you have 2 public hearings, one today and then one in March. And this resolution then would be just simply to approve the form of the lease and then have a second public hearing on the lease in March as well. So what you would be doing today is having a standalone public hearing, open it, close it, and then go on to the resolution. So
Okay.
it's a subtle difference, but it's important to us from a legal standpoint. So we want to open the public hearing.
Prior
and-
to the,
Yeah, so you would do the resolution separately, because there's technically not a public hearing on the resolution itself
resolution.
today. So I think it probably would make sense, as you suggest, have Andy come up and talk about the financial pieces of it, and then actually Tom will cover the
Okay.
legal piece of the public hearing.
so we'll open the public hearing
Right.
and then close it and then have you guys come up. Is that-
It actually would
Or
probably
you
be
want
better
Andrew to
for-
come up first?
Yeah, Andy
Okay.
and, yeah, have that first, so that the table is set for anybody that would have questions or
questions.
whatever.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon. Andy Mauser with Baker Tilly. And I did want to note, I did hand out copies of this preliminary determination narrative. You each should have a printed copy of that, and then there are copies up here on this front table for any members of the public that would like them as well. I know at your last meeting, we discussed potential financing structure for the street department project would be through a property tax supported bond issue. Due to the size of the project, it is subject to controlled project procedures, and a piece of the controlled project procedures is putting together this preliminary determination information. It's very strict as far as statute, what has to be provided. So we've covered everything here. I'm happy to go through the information in this quickly, and then most of this corresponds to the December numbers that we went through at your last meeting as well. So the preliminary determination information sheet does include a maximum lease payment on the financing. Shows 1.3 million, you may recall, in the numbers we went through a few weeks ago. We currently estimate, based on the size of the project, current interest rates, that payment should actually be below 1.1 million. So again, that's just a maximum, not to exceed amount. A maximum term of the lease of 20 years, and we do anticipate a 20-year financing. And again, that will, with a long life, expected life of a project like this, that 20-year repayment does help spread the tax impact out as much as possible. It includes estimated interest rates and interest costs on the financing. We're currently showing interest rates ranging between 3.75 and about 4.77%. So a net interest rate in the low 4 to 4.5% range. And then on a $13 million financing would be about 6.7 million in total interest cost. The information sheet also includes information on the city's existing debt service levies through property tax. So between the 2016 general obligation bonds for the fire station project and then the 2023 Park District bonds for the Parks Department project, the city currently levies just over $483,000, and that results in a debt service tax rate of just over 3 cents per $100 of assessed value. The rest of the packet does include estimates on the new financing. So again, assuming a payment of just under 1.1 million, Isolated impacts from just this financing alone would be just over 7 cents. But did want to highlight, and as we went through in our previous numbers, there's a number of different factors that should reduce what that actual impact is on taxpayers. One, you have been and continue to be a fast-growing community, so as assessed values grow, it continues to push that tax rate impact down. And in fact, we've seen quite a reduction in tax rates over the last several years. So from a year-to-year basis, while there may be a 7-cent impact, over a several-year period, that impact is much more minimal. Your structure that you would potentially adopt also would allow you to use TIF, edit, and other revenues to buy down the debt service. So that 7 cents, again, assumes the entire debt service is levied for. To the extent you utilize other revenues and buy that debt service down,
And
the
you
impact
said
would be less
TIF,
as well.
edit, and what else to buy?
Really, any legally available revenues. So those would be the ones we would look to that would have the most capacity currently, but anything legally available could be used as well. And then another factor, your existing debt for the 2016 fire station, the 2023 park district. Both of those financings will mature after 2031, so any impacts will really be minimal over the next few years. While all three obligations are outstanding after 2031, it will just be the new street department bonds that would be outstanding. And then as we also discussed at your previous meeting, many of your taxpayers are already at the property tax cap, so any increase in that debt service tax rate would not result in an increase in tax bills because they're already at their 1%, 2%, or 3% caps in many cases. So again, this kind of goes back to a strategy. I know when Mayor Tallmer was in office of figuring out a way to keep this as tax rate neutral as possible. And so I think the preliminary determination sheet covers the information that's required by statute. Did want to highlight again that we believe this will be a mostly tax rate neutral financing for the project. But definitely glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Andy?
And I guess I'll turn it back to Tom before we open the public hearing.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, members of the commission. Tom Everett with Barnes and Thornburg. So as Andy and Randy mentioned, due to the size of this project, Indiana law requires 2 public hearings on the project before the Redevelopment Commission can make a preliminary determination to enter into the lease to finance the project. So the first public hearing will take place today, and then the second public hearing will take place on March 3rd. As Andy mentioned, Indiana law also requires that certain information regarding tax rates and the tax levy be provided at the hearings. Andy has gone over those, and there are copies of Baker Tilly's packet available for members of the public that wish to look at it. Just as a reminder, as we discussed last meeting, this project is being structured as a lease financing with the Redevelopment Authority, and the lease will be between the Redevelopment Commission and the Redevelopment Authority, and under which the Redevelopment Authority will lease roads to the Redevelopment Commission, which in turn will allow the authority to then issue lease rental bonds, which will finance the cost of the project. The reason we're leasing roads is that it's more efficient over the long term for the city and will reduce the financing costs to the city over the long term. And unless there are any questions that you have, we would suggest opening the public hearing on the first preliminary determination hearing at this time.
Thank you.
So,
How does doing a lease versus a GO reduce the financing costs?
So the reason we're doing the lease structure overall is due to the debt limit of the city.
Right.
And so we would need to do a lease regardless of how we structured this. There's 2 real potential structures to do a lease financing. One is using the city itself, and then using a city building corporation. And the other option is the one we're pursuing now, which is using the Redevelopment Authority with the Redevelopment Commission. And under the redevelopment statute, that statute allows the Redevelopment Commission to lease local public improvements, which includes roads. Under the Building Corporation statute, you would have to lease a building. And the leasing of a building adds complexity. There's an appraisal process that has to go through. There's lease interruption insurance that the city would have to carry for the life of the bonds. And so it's really the advantage of leasing roads is that it eliminates those costs. It's also looked on favorably by the rating agency that will rate the bonds. And so between those two leasing structures, the redevelopment authority lease using roads is really the avenue that's most efficient and cost effective for the city.
Thank you.
So George, if you want to open up the public hearing?
Okay. We will open up the public hearing as required. Anyone here to speak about this, for or against? I see no one. So, sorry. So we will close the hearing to the public. And we can move forward.
So we open and close the hearing. Tom, if you want to come up and talk about the resolution a little bit.
Yes, so the resolution before you this afternoon sets a public hearing that will also be held in addition to the second preliminary determination public hearing at the next meeting on March 3rd. So this resolution sets that hearing and also preliminarily approves the form of the lease. Under the lease, the leased premises will be a portion of Center Street, Parker Street, and Husky Trail in the city. The term of the lease will not exceed 20 years, and the maximum annual lease rental under the lease will not exceed $1.3 million. And as Andy mentioned, the lease rentals would be payable from a tax levy levied by the commission, and also payable from any other legally available funds to the commission. And while that 1.3 million is the maximum lease rental, the actual lease rental will be set after the bonds are issued, and the lease rentals will match the debt service payments on the bonds. So, as I mentioned, this resolution sets the public hearing on the lease for March 3rd, and after that public hearing on March 3rd, the commission will consider a resolution finally approving the lease and authorizing execution of the lease. And that's a high-level summary, but happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. Once those bonds are purchased and an interest rate is established or assigned to those bonds, does that interest rate, is it a fixed rate or can it be adjustable, or does it fluctuate in any way?
No, it will be a fixed rate for the life
rate.
of the bonds.
For the duration or the life of the
That's correct,
the
for
bond?
the life of the bonds.
And your estimate for that rate is, I saw here, anywhere between 3.75 and 4.77,
That's correct.
just depending on the day, I suppose.
Yep.
Pick the 3.75 day. Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't think so.
So we just need a motion to approve this resolution, which sets the public hearing for the resolution on March 3rd.
I'll make that motion, Jeremy.
Okay, Mike has made a motion to that effect.
Second.
Bill has seconded it. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 So Jeremy, for clarification, the next public hearing will be March 3rd at what time?
4:30.
4:30 in this room here.
Yes.
4:30 here. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because we have a little different time.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is a notice of award. A week ago, we opened bids for the County Road 300 North project. Those bids were opened. They were reviewed by the city engineer and the A&Z Engineering, who did the design. And before you is a notice of award to award that contract to Fenton Brown in the amount of $724,244.60. This is partly being covered by state funds as part of the CCMG. So half of it will be covered by state funds, and the other half will be covered out of our northern TIF to reconstruct County Road 300 North. So this is the award of the bid. There will be a contract and a notice to proceed that will come later.
We need a motion for the,
Jeremy, how long is that road? Is it a half mile? Just curious.
Yeah, probably pretty close to that.
Okay. Well, I would make a motion that we accept this notice of the award for the 300 North Improvement Project.
we have a motion by Mike
I'll second.
and second by Joe. All in favor of approving the award of the project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. It's approved.
The last thing on the agenda is approval of claims, and we have one claim for NIPSCO in the amount of $59.88 for the Marsh property.
Well, that's
Move
pretty
to approve.
easy. Second.
So we have a first and a second. All in favor of approving the claim as presented? Say aye. Aye. So that's approved.
So I don't have anything else. Just a reminder, as already stated, next meeting is March 3rd at 4:30, which is a little later than our normal time. And just, we're going to have a busy year this year. There's a couple of other, obviously the residential loan will be a bond issue. We will be starting the Millworks bond issue here before long as well for the Millworks project, and then finalizing the Public Works bond. So be prepared for a busy couple of months.
Okay.
Jeremy, what about the Gacke property? I know they've got their site preparation done.
I know they were trying to schedule a pre-construction meeting. Were they able to do that yet, or is that scheduled for the Gacke?
Yes,
Yeah.
we had a pre-construction meeting last week for that project. They needed a couple more weeks before they were gonna mobilize and start the sewer work on site.
Yeah. So I look for that start as soon as the weather breaks, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Things supposed to get nice next week.
Nice and cold.
No, I hear it's gonna warm up. We'll see.
I wouldn't hold my breath for it.
I was surprised when I heard the forecast.
I hope so.
But in addition to that, we have a couple of other projects that we'll probably bring. We're getting closer to an agreement for the Buffalo Street project, and then obviously with the Millworks, hopefully they'll start construction in the spring. They did get approval for ready funds, so they got some ready funds committed to that project as well. So
For which project?
for Millworks.
But that was the 1.0. Ready 1.0, not the most recent ready.
the most recent Ready 2.0 for Millworks, yes.
Okay. Was that the tax credits?
GACI was the tax credits.
Oh, for
Millworks, yeah,
Gotcha.
Millworks is the,
Gotcha.
is the
Okay.
Ready 2.0,
How
yeah.
much did we get from Ready?
2 million
Wow.
in grant and 1 million in a loan, so 3 million, with a million of that being loaned. Once we get a little further along in the bond process, and the financing, we'll have some more numbers to work out, but that will help, for sure.
Sounds great.
So a lot of things to come.
Mayor, anything?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today and for the public hearing and for the other. And if nothing else, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Oh, Bill.
Second. Did you
Mike
second?
I made a motion.
Yeah, you did.
I don't care how everybody
Close
put
enough.
it.
Yeah, I put Bill down as
Okay.
motion. They're ready.
Whatever you want to do.
Jeremy, will they be here tonight?
No.
Okay.
We have nothing on the agenda.